According to the National Geographic, ocean plastic is estimated to kill millions of marine animals and seabirds every year. And scientists predict that by 2050, plastic will outweigh the number of fish in the entire ocean. Plastics often break down into smaller and smaller particles, called microplastics, which can be ingested by both animals and people and remain in our environment for hundreds of years or longer. Here are a few helpful tips on how you can help stop the tide on plastic pollution. Tip 1. Bring reusable bags when grocery shopping. Tip 2. Avoid using plastic straws or use reusable straws when having a drink. Tip 3. Drink from a reusable water bottle instead of buying individual bottles. Tip 4. Tell your friends and family about the effects of single-use plastics. You can help reduce the amount of single-use plastics by spreading the word and going green. For more information and to take the pledge, visit reduceyourusetamaBay.org.
Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Peyton Larson. I'm a remote reporter here. Is it possible that I could get everybody's appearances before going on the record?
I don't know who's talking. Someone from above?
Sorry, my name is Peyton Larson. I'm the remote court reporter for this meeting.
What case are you here for, Mr. Larson? You're not here for the entire hearing.
Hillsborough County, ZHM hearing.
Okay, well, everyone will announce their name. If you just give us a minute, we'll start the hearing and everyone announces their name as they speak. So I think you should be good. All right?
Okay,
Thank you so much. All right, I want to welcome you to the April 15th, 2025 zoning hearing master hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing master over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Michelle Heinrich. She's with the Development Services Department, and she will introduce other staff members that will participate in tonight's hearing. Ms. Heinrich.
Hi, good evening. Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. Also up at the dais, to my left, we have Mary Dorman with the County Attorney's Office, Tyreek Royal with the Planning Commission, and Richard Perez with Transportation Review and Development Services.
All right, I understand we have some changes, published changes to the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. The first one is Agenda Page 7, Item D3, Major Mod 24-1152. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the May 19th, 2025 ZHM hearing, and this is not a matter of right continuance. It would require your authorization.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Sure, would you like me to repeat everything? I'm sorry. Sure, this is for agenda page 7, item D3, Major Mod 24-1152. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the May 19th, 2025 ZHM hearing, and this is not a matter of right, so the applicant will need to make that request and it have to be approved by the hearing officer.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. This is Joe Moretta, 400 North Ashley, Suite 1100. We're here to request a continuance for this item. We're making a revision to the application itself, and staff needs the additional time to review that revision, and so we will be submitting the revised narrative tomorrow, and we request a continuance to the May hearing. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak about this case only to the continuance, not the merits of the case? All right. Seeing no one, then we'll grant the continuance for major modification 24-1152 to the May 19th, 2025 zoning hearing master hearing at 6 p.m.
The next item is...
I'm sorry, sir, can you please slide in for the record?
Our next item is agenda page 9, item D9, PD rezoning 25-0270. The applicant is requesting continuance to the May 19th, 2025 ZHM hearing, and this would require you to approve or deny this request as it's not a matter of right continuance.
All right. Is the applicant here for agenda item D9? Good evening. Give us your name and address, please, before you begin.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. Chris McNeil, McNeil Engineering, 15957 North Florida Avenue, Lutz. Do we respectfully request a continuance? We had some late coming information for some change working with the neighbor on the screening and buffering, which we've got worked out, but it was too late to add the additional PD variations to the plan, so we respectfully request a continuance to be able to process those.
All right. And you're asking for May 19th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me ask if there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to the continuance of this case, not the merits. All right. Seeing no one, we'll grant the continuance of rezoning PD 25-0270 to the May 19th zoning hearing master hearing at 6 p.m. Ms. Heinrich, was there one more change to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. One more change, and that is item D7. We have it incorrectly identified on the agenda as PD 24-0144, and the correct number is PD 25-0144. The staff report is complete.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me start tonight by going over our hearing procedures for this evening's hearing. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a zoning hearing master. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a recommendation within 15 business days following tonight's hearing. Those recommendations are then sent to the Board of County Commissioners, who make the final decision. Our hearing tonight is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation tonight is as follows. Ms. Heinrich of the Development Services Department will make a brief introduction for each agenda item. Then we'll go to the applicant. The applicant has 15 minutes to make their presentation regarding their case, including their experts or other people as a part of their presentation, 15 minutes total. Next up, we'll go back to Development Services to the staff planner that was assigned the case, and they will have 5 minutes to go over the findings from the county regarding the application. The same is true next when we go to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission also has 5 minutes to go over their findings of consistency with the county's comprehensive plan. Then we'll turn to proponents, anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application. Total proponent presentation time, 15 minutes. The same is true when we next go to opponents, anyone who would like to speak against an application. Everyone combined, 15 minutes. We'll circle back to the Development Services Department, who has 5 minutes to go over any changes or comments based on tonight's testimony. And then the last word is had by the applicant. The applicant has 5 minutes for rebuttal. Regarding, I don't think we'll have this issue, but just in case, regarding that 15 minutes for proponents or opponents, when we get to that section, I will ask you to raise your hand if you plan to speak. We will count, for instance, the number of people that want to speak in support, and we will divide that 15 minutes as equally as possible. We have people that are participating both in the room and also online, so everyone together will get a fair amount of time as best we can. When you come up to the podium to speak, or if you are online, start by giving us your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure that we get your information correct. If you're in the room and you speak at the podium, when you are done, if you could see Jennifer, raise your hand, Jennifer, there she is. She is with the clerk's office, and she is keeping a log, a written log of those who speak tonight at the hearing. So if you would, when you're done, just see her and sign in with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke. Now let me ask Ms. Dorman of the County Attorney's Office to provide you the legal requirements which govern your participation at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. Ms. Dorman.
This is Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office. Tonight's public hearing is the first step of a two-step rezoning process. This hearing is the time for rezoning applicants and interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Any evidence presented tonight will become part of the complete factual record of each application, and no additional evidence can be introduced after the closing of each application. The second step of the rezoning process is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners, where the board will make a decision on each application heard tonight. Tonight's applications are scheduled to be heard by the board at its June 10th, 2025 land use meeting, unless a different date is stated by staff. When considering applications, the board will only review the record and the recommendations made by the land use hearing officer for each application. The land use hearing officer will file a recommendation for each application heard tonight on May 6, 2025. The Board of County Commissioners has established a policy that directs which rezoning and major modification applications are to be placed on the consent agenda of the board's land use meeting. Applications that propose to add density outside the urban service area and applications that are on roadways with a failing level of service are not qualified for placement on the consent agenda. Applications that do not have consistent recommendations of approval or denial are also not qualified to be placed on the consent agenda. And finally, applications that have had evidence or testimony provided to the record by non-applicant parties of record, either prior to or at tonight's public hearing, are not qualified for placement on the consent agenda. The board will allow testimony by any party of record at its public meeting to consider the land use hearing officer's recommendation for any item on the regular agenda. Testimony by a party of record shall be limited to the record of the proceedings before the land use hearing officer unless additional evidence has been found admissible in accordance with Section 10.03.04D of the Land Development Code. A party of record is an individual who fits into at least one of the four categories. First, someone who's present tonight and presents testimony or documentary evidence. Second, someone who's been certified by the U.S. Postal Service as having been mailed notice of tonight's hearing. Third, someone who submitted documentary evidence to the master file at least 2 business days prior to tonight's hearing. Or fourth, someone who submitted documentary evidence by proxy at tonight's hearing. The content of oral argument before the board shall be limited to the content of the testimony and other evidence submitted verbally or in writing to the land use hearing officer. It is the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that only individuals who have met these requirements are allowed to speak before the board and to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is introduced or allowed at the board's public meeting. For these reasons, please make sure that all information you wish the board to consider at its public meeting is entered into tonight's record.
Thank you, Ms. Dorman. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath. So if you plan to speak tonight, if you could please stand, raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, then with that, Ms. Heinrich, we're ready to call the first case.
Our first item is item C1, Standard Rezoning 25-0178. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from PD to RC6, Logan McCaig with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening.
Trying to figure out the... Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. Joe Moretta, 400 North Ashley, Suite 1100. I'm here to speak to rezoning 25-0178. This is a request for RSC6 located on the south side of Riverview Drive on the southwest corner of Oak Street and Riverview Drive. All of it is west of US 41. The total rezoning area is approximately 4.54 acres. There are two folios involved. One of the folios has an existing single-family home, and that is the folio that's located to the south. And the folio that occupies the corner of Riverview Drive and Oak is vacant. Again, the request is to rezone a planned development, which currently has RSC 6 standards, to RSC 6. So this request is effectively rezoning a 4.54 acre parcel from a 14.41 acre planned development. It's extracting that area. There's been a companion rezoning, which is 25-0177, that was heard at a previous hearing to reconcile the remaining area of that BD plan. 25-0177, I would add, has a recommendation from the zoning hearing master from the previous hearing of approval. Again, there's no change in the development standards. This is RSC 6 to RSC 6. If anything, the existing PD in condition 1.1 allows a 15-foot front yard along certain areas internal to the PD, which has lots organized on internal roadways to have a narrower front yard of 15 feet. This application is to RSC 6 and will conform to all RSC 6 standards, which will require a 25-foot front yard. Having said that, it's likely going to end up in a reduction in density because it doesn't have some of the things that the PD would have allowed in it to, shrink the lot size or accommodate a larger home. The applicant seeks to use this property in accordance with the R4 comprehensive plan. So the comp plan in subdivision will limit it to 4 units an acre. They're seeking RSC 6 use permissibility, and they intend to comply with the site engineering and subdivision standards in place at the time when they go through the review. In terms of the adjacent zoning pattern in the area, I don't know how important it is to go over that since there's really no change proposed for the site, but nonetheless, it does have RSC 6 to the north, RSC 6 to the south. It has a proposed AS1 zoning that's pending to the east of it. That's the one that I alluded to that is reconciling the remainder of the PD. That's proposed for ASC 1, but it does have RSC 6 standards as we speak. And in the west of the site, there's RSC 6. There's also other more intensive zonings in the area that are either non-residential or of more intense use. In conclusion, there's no change to the proposed development standards. We're going RSC 6 to RSC 6. The proposed rezoning with no change will remain consistent and compatible with the area. And to a degree, the RSC 6 is already there. We're only eliminating it from the PD and retaining the RSC 6 standards for this 4.54 acre site. It has all approvals. The Planning Commission has found this consistent, and Development Services Department staff is recommending approval. We're here to answer any questions, and it's pretty straightforward. Not many of them are easier than this one. So thank you very much.
Thank you. My only question you answered, and that was, why are you rezoning if you already have RSC 6? It wasn't clear to me that you're extracting a parcel from a larger PD, so that's
yes, they're extracting it from the PD. The property owners of the PD, they don't have any particular plans. The PD that's already been, the portion of the PD that's already been heard, they're proposing AS1 standards. They have thoughts of, trying to do some type of farming with it. That's carrying on a separate track, but to do that, they had to split up the PD. So this is the area of the PD where the property owners don't necessarily want to do that, but are going along with it to go ahead and allow that, the PD to be divided up this way, and they want to retain the RSC 6 standards, which this accomplishes.
All right, thank you. That was my only question. I appreciate it. Don't forget to sign in.
Thank you.
Development Services. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. Logan McCaig, Development Services, rezoning 250178. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from PD to RSC 6. The existing PD 061721 permits for RSC 6 development standards. The property is located along Riverview Drive, approximately 3,000 feet east of South US 41. The property is surrounded by a mix of residential, agricultural, light commercial uses in the forms of RSC 6, RSC 6 mobile home overlay, AS1, AR, BPO, RSB, and other PDs. The property, totaling 4.5 acres, is located between Riverview Drive and the Alafaya River. The proposed rezoning to RSC 6 is in the coastal high hazard area. Would normally constitute requirement that the property cannot have a potential maximum of more than 10 homes without rezoning into a planned development. However, it was determined that the possible number of homes per the FLU density, wetlands, and other development standards is no greater than the currently approved 18 homes described in PD 061721. Site development standards and comparable surrounding is comparable to surrounding properties. Density would be limited to no more than 4 units per acre. Staff is recommending approval. We are available for any questions.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tarek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area where, according to Objective 1 of the future land use element, 80% of the county's growth is to be directed. Policy 1.4 requires all new development to be compatible with the surrounding area, noting that compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of the development proposals in the surrounding area. The site currently has vacant and single-family residential uses, with vacant land to the north, east, and west of the subject site. Single-family uses surround the subject site on all sides. The proposal to remove the property from the existing PD and retain RSC 6 development standards meets the intent of FLU Objective 1 and Policy 1.4. FLU Objectives 7 and 8, in each of their respective policies, establish future land use map, as well as the allowable range of uses of each future land use category. The character of each land use category is defined by building type, residential density, functional use, and physical composition of the land. The integration of these factors set the general atmosphere and character of each land use category. Each category has a range of permissible uses, which are not exhausted, but are intended to be illustrative of the character of uses within the land use designation. Appendix A contains a description of the character and intent of permitted uses in each future land use category. The site is in the residential 4 FLU category. The Res 4 allows for the consideration of residential, suburban scale neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multi-purpose projects. In accordance with the language stated above, this request meets the intent of FLU Objective 7 and FLU Objective 8. Overall, staff finds that the proposed use is an allowable use, and Res 4 is compatible with the development pattern within the surrounding area and does support the vision of the Gibsonton, Riverview, and South Shore area-wide community plans. The proposed rezoning would allow for development that is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the future land use element of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? All right, no one. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Moretta, you have the last word if you'd like it.
I have no further comments unless you have a question.
No questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening, and I did sign the record, so I think I'm whole.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Then with that, we'll close rezoning 25-0178 and go to the next case.
Our next item is item D1, PD rezoning 24-1013. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AS1 to planned development. Carol Ann Peddle with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening. For the record, my name is Patricia Ortiz. My address is 2810 North Central Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33602. I'm representing R&L Enterprises 3 in this request to rezone from AS1 to planned development. The intent is to develop a 13,000 square foot retail and office center. The property is 2.5 acres in size, and located about 250 feet east of the signalized intersection of Balm Riverview Road and Rodine Road. The site is on the north side of Rodine Road. The property is within the urban service area and the Riverview community. The site meets the commercial location criteria. We're not proposing any waivers to setback parking, buffering, or screening, but we are requesting to deviate from the driveway spacing requirements and a design exception for substandard roads. That would be for Rodine Road. To ensure compatibility, we're proposing a limited array of uses, restricted hours of operation, and some restrictions to the location of the proposed dine-in only restaurant, and a restriction that prevents the proposed banquet hall from having an outdoor gathering space. We are before you with favorable recommendations from all reviewing agencies, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much. Please sign in. Development Services. Good evening.
Good evening, Caroline Peddle, Development Services. No worries. It's okay. Again, this is rezoning PD 24-1013. Again, the applicant is requesting to rezone 2.5 acres from AS1 to planned development. The planned development is located on the north side of Rodine Road, east of the intersection of Balm River Road and Rodine Road, an area comprised of commercially and residentially zoned properties. The project is restricted to a maximum height of 20 feet and 13,000 square feet of building area. Limited uses listed in the conditions of approval. The PD will provide buffering and screening along the eastern property line adjacent to the residentially zoned property and to the west along the property line abutting the child care center. The proposed stormwater pond and existing wetland area in the northern portion of the property will further buffer the residentially zoned properties to the north of the subject site. To further mitigate the concerns of compatibility, the applicant has restricted the site for the sit-down restaurant located to the northwestern end of the building envelope, furthest from the residentially zoned properties. To the east, additionally, the banquet hall will be prohibited an outdoor area for gathering. Furthermore, the applicant has agreed to restricted hours of operations for several of the limited uses, which is provided in the conditions of approval. Staff found it approvable, subject to the proposed conditions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Planning Commission.
Good afternoon, Terry Crowe, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area and within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. The proposal meets the intent of Flu Objective 16 and its accompanying policies that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding area. Goal 12 and Objective 12-1 of the community design component of the FLU require new developments to recognize the existing community and be designed to relate and be compatible with the predominant character of the surrounding area. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised of mostly single-family uses with some vacant land, like commercial uses and daycare in the immediate area. To enhance compatibility with the surrounding residential, the conditions for the proposed PD will note that the eating establishment shall be limited to one sit-down restaurant with an outdoor seating area located in the northwestern end of the strip center. Overall, staff finds that the proposal is compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area and does support the vision of the Riverview Community Plan and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. The proposed plan development would allow for development that's consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? All right. Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How many people are online? There's no one in the room. Is it just you, sir, that we know of?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Todd Madrano, and I reside at 11906 Rodine Road, Riverview, Florida. I've lived here. I'm a property owner, and this is my homestead for the past 23 years. If I can go ahead and present, if I could go ahead and speak, I'd like to do that now.
Yes, please do, sir. Go ahead.
So I'm speaking in opposition of the rezoning. I'm obviously the next door neighbor. I've been here 23 years. We built the current house that we have in 2005. We plan to live here. We've raised our children here. We're raising our grandchildren here. And I understand that R&L Enterprises III LLC of Tampa, Reginald, has purchased the property next door and the property next to that. He also owns the daycare at the corner of Balm Riverview and Rodian Road, which is 12010 Balm Riverview Road. When they purchased that property back in March of 2019, the intent was to develop the property. Doing so, they elevated more than half the property, over 36 inches, to accommodate the parking lot and the building structure. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because the retention pond that's behind all of our properties is severely taxed currently. And the drainage that goes down next to Rose Lane, which is directly behind us, and then to Balm Riverview, is insufficient anytime a storm comes. Especially, it seems that it's gotten worse since that property was elevated. Common sense would dictate that when R&L Enterprises decides to develop the property next to me and next to that, he more than likely is going to want to elevate that property too, since it floods when the retention pond overflows. If that's the case, then that's going to be detrimental to my property, not only for stormwater runoff, but also for the current situation regarding traffic flow at Rodian Road and Balm Riverview. These roads are not set up for the traffic that we're currently seeing. Like I said, I've seen development in the area, but I've never had to wait an extended amount of time for somebody to let me in or out of my own driveway. So, my stance is, until Rodian Road is improved and until the drainage system is improved, I will continue to oppose further development of these two properties any chance that I have. I do appreciate the time that you've given me to speak. And again, I believe my concerns are valid and could potentially affect not only my property value, but the quality of life that we have here at the property adjoining R&L Enterprises properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medrano. I appreciate your participation. All right, seeing no one else in opposition, we'll move on to Development Services. Ms. Heinrich, do you have anything based on gentleman's comments?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Perez, we'll make you useful since you're sitting here at the dais. If you could just comment on the status of Rodian Road, given the project that the applicant has proposed.
Yes, Rodian Road is a substandard collector roadway. The applicant has requested to make certain improvements through the design exception process to the roadway. That was reviewed by the county engineer and found approvable. That includes a 4-foot wide concrete separator between the through lane and the left turn lane on Rodian Road for westbound traffic, and also includes 4-foot wide paved shoulders with a 6-foot wide grass stabilized shoulders, as well as they would be required to, of course, construct sidewalks along with the project.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
All right, Ms. Heinrich, can you just answer the gentleman's concerns regarding drainage for the project and the review process that this property would be subject to if it were approved?
Sure. Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. If approved, this would be required to be reviewed through the site development process, and one of those reviewing agencies is the Stormwater Department. They have a technical manual that all properties must follow. The PD does not grant them any relief from those. They would need to meet that or otherwise change their project to meet that. So that is handled later in the process after the zoning, if approved.
All right, thank you. That clarifies things. I appreciate it. All right, we'll go back to Ms. Ortiz, the applicant, who has 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah, I'd like to thank staff for giving you those detailed answers, and I'd just like to state that there are conditions of approval included in the staff report, which address the transportation improvements that will be made and the limited amount of uses. So specifically, let me just get to that page here. The conditions of zoning approval are written so that it says specifically, no development shall be permitted that causes a cumulative development to exceed 611 gross average trips, 56 AM peak, or 63 gross PM peak hours. So the uses have been reviewed to determine the worst case scenario for traffic, and we've kind of gone through that with staff. There are also conditions that require the 4-foot raised concrete separator that Mr. Perez spoke of, and also a bump out to facilitate U-turning traffic. In regard to the drainage issues, as Michelle stated, we, if this PD is approved, we would go next to the site development stage and address all of the criteria in the stormwater technical manual, as well as other site development regulations.
Okay. Does that conclude your rebuttal testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close rezoning PD 24-1013 and go to the next case.
Our next item is item D2, Major Mod 24-1141. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 06-1564. Chris Greenlenar with Development Services has reviewed this project, and in his absence tonight, I'll provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right, is the applicant here? Good evening.
Good evening, Hearing Officer Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is MM 24-1141. What we're seeking to do is split the original PD and seeking two different options. We're located in the Lutz area, 0.90 acres. As you can see, it's located in the general vicinity of 275 and 581 on Sinclair Road and Livingston Avenue, other corners. This is the current 06 approval, 06-1564. Before you tonight is just the upper portion. The rear portion is not included. So just this top portion along Sinclair Road is today's PD. Of the rest of the original PD, there are no changes. So it's comprised of two parcels before you. The original approval was for 3,500 square feet for dry cleaners, which is located at the corner, so there's less intensity as you move away from the corner in both directions. So the proposed PD plan option 1 would be a 1-story commercial, 1,236 square feet of CN and CG uses, and 2 food trucks. That would be option number 1. Option number 2 would be a 1-story commercial at 6,238 square feet with CN and CG uses. However, we have restricted a long list of uses that would not be permissible under those two options. This is a look at the site at the intersection on Sinclair Hills Road. Site is to your left. You see there's a convenience store and gas station across Sinclair, and this would be the site as it currently exists. Currently, the site on the future land use is R6, R20 across the street, which contains the gas and C store, R12 across Livingston. And under zoning, gas and C store, RSC6, RSC12. Livingston Avenue is a busy roadway. It carries almost 14,000 vehicles per day. We have worked with Transportation Department to work out conditions on transportation. Chris McNeil's here, our engineer. He can refer to those more, but we've been able to work with them to move forward with conditions that are acceptable. Under the Lutz Community Plan, under commercial character, the Lutz Community desires to retain existing and encourage new commercial uses geared to serving the daily needs of residents in a scale and design that complements the character. So we think that this is a plan that does meet that commercial character direction. Also, to improve design aesthetics to make the physical development of the community more attractive. This would be an improvement of the existing uses and would be not expansion, but it would be a improved look over what is there today. In terms of buffers, option number 1 is a 6B where 8B is required along Sinclair Hills, and 15B where 20B is required to the rear, noting 5 type B where 20-foot B is required along the rear. And importantly, all business activity is focused to the front, to Sinclair Hills Road. Option number 2 includes buffers 6B where 8B is required along Sinclair, 15B where 20-foot B is required to the rear, along with the 10-foot B where 20-foot B is required. And again, business activity is focused towards Sinclair Hills. Under the locational waiver, we believe that the placement of the uses towards the intersection further from the residential and the remaining existence and uses of the split PD and located at a busy intersection and the restricted uses meet and define the purposes for the request for the locational waiver. It is important to note that one of the reasons behind this is that there has been some type of dispute between the two owners of the PD. They were here at the last hearing. They may be here again tonight, but I think it's important to make you aware that the owners of the existing PD that are not under the review tonight have raised objections to what's proposed before today. And under that current PD, the rear port would include retention and a parking area under the original approved PD. So with that, we appreciate your attention. Happy to answer your questions, and here to provide any other information you may need.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions. So let me start from the base. So the PD currently permits a dry cleaner at a certain square footage. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there any other use permitted?
As indicated in the staff report and before, that is the use proposed, or use that is permitted.
Okay. And there are currently food trucks on the property operating?
That's correct, and it is under code enforcement.
Okay. So I did see the letters in opposition in the file, and they talk about the food trucks and the issues with that, and people talk about the lighting and that they're a problem overall. And you seem to, well, you don't seem to, you have recommendations that don't support it from both planning staffs. And I have, unless they've updated their comments, I have Transportation's agency report that objects to it. So you mentioned that you seem to have worked something out with Transportation?
Correct. I don't know if Mr. Perez or Chris McNeil is here. He can answer that better than I.
All right.
Chris McNeil Engineering 15957 North Florida Avenue. On behalf of the applicant, we were able to work after we received the Transportation recommended for not approval. We were able to work with them and work through some conditions that they found it would be approval had that been at the time, and so they've submitted those. We have a copy of them. I believe you probably have a copy of them in the record as well.
They may be in the record, but I don't have them. The latest one I have, they object to the application.
Okay.
So they have issued, I mean, I'll ask Mr. Perez, obviously,
yes,
but they've issued a revised comment. Okay, thank you so much. If you could please sign in, Mr. McNeil. I think that's it, Mr. Pressman. I think those are my only questions at the moment. Thank you, I appreciate it. Development Services.
Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. As you saw, this site is located in the northern 0.9 acre area, PD 06-1564. The area of modification is approved for a 3,500 square foot dry cleaner with drive-through. And as you saw in the applicant's presentation, the approved site plan locates the use within the northeast portion closest to the intersection. And the northwest area, which abuts residential uses, is to be used for retention. The remaining portion of the PD is approved for 10,000 square feet of BPO uses and 5,000 square feet of limited commercial neighborhood uses. And under this modification, the applicant requests 2 development options. The first one would be the 2 food trucks and the smaller limited commercial use building. And under option 2, 1 larger limited commercial use building. Under both options, those commercial uses include those allowed in the CG and CN zoning district, with a list of prohibited uses that the applicant has provided and is located in the staff report. As you saw under option 1, the applicant is proposing to not provide the 20-foot wide buffer with type B screening along the southern boundary, and instead provide a 5 to 15-foot wide buffer with the type B screening. And under option 2, along the same boundary, provide a 10 to 15-foot wide buffer with type B screening in lieu of the 20B that's required. Property to the south is zone AS1 and developed with a single-family home located approximately 20 feet from the common boundary line. Under both development options, the applicant also proposes to reduce the 8-foot wide right-of-way buffer along the north to be 6 feet in width. Staff does not support the request given the proposed intensity within a residential area despite the prohibited uses. The activity area, which includes parking, the commercial operations, and circulation areas, is to propose to be located further west from the currently approved area. Additionally, the project's request to not meet minimum buffering and screening requirements, which are the baseline for compatibility for staff's analysis. Therefore, we do not support the request, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Just one. I understand. I've read the staff report and see that the development services objections are based on the buffer and the proximity to residential of the use. So if the transportation comments have changed, that doesn't affect your recommendation. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Planning Commission.
Good afternoon, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area within the residential 6 future land use category and not within the limits of a community plan. Flu policy 16.2 states that gradual transitions of intensities between different land uses shall be provided for as new development is proposed and approved through the use of professional site planning, buffering, and screening techniques and control of specific land uses. There should be a gradual transition of intensities between the different land uses given the residential uses around the subject site. Flu policy 16.5 directs development of higher intensities and non-residential land uses to be restricted to locations external to established and developed neighborhoods. The major modification would cause development that is not compatible with the surrounding area, rendering the request inconsistent with this adopted policy direction. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria. According to Flu Policy 22.2, a site in the residential 6 future land use category must be within 300 feet of a qualifier intersection. That includes a two-lane roadway. The closest qualifying intersection of the subject site is Livingston, a 2-lane county arterial roadway, and Bears Avenue, a 2-lane county arterial roadway. The distance from the subject site and the closest qualifying intersection is roughly 3,900 feet, as opposed to the required 300 feet, and therefore the site does not meet CLC. Flu Policy 22.7 notes that meeting commercial locational criteria is not the only factor to be taken into consideration when granting approval of an application. Considerations involving land use compatibility, adequacy and available public services, environmental impact, adopted service levels of affected roadways, and other policies of the comprehensive plan and zoning regulations would carry more weight than the locational criteria in the approval of a potential commercial use. Commercial locational criteria only designates locations that could be considered, and they in no way guarantee the approval of a particular non-residential use. The 300-foot measurement requirement demonstrates the scale of development expected in the rural area, and the proposed major modification would not be in scale with this area. Overall, staff finds that the proposed modification is not compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area and does not meet CLC. The proposed major modification will allow for development that is not consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Before we move to in favor or against, let me ask Mr. Ratliff from the county's transportation review section to go over the comments provided by Mr. McNeil.
Yes, good evening. For the record, James Ratliff, Transportation Review Section, Development Services.
Nice to see you in person.
You as well. The staff report that was prepared, that is in the record, was based on the request that was of record when we wrote it. And so it is a recommendation of denial. There's nothing that's changed about that. There were additional discussions that occurred after we prepared our staff report about things that we could support. And so we talked about a trip cap for 64 AM and PM peak hour trips on the development within the modification area, that would kind of pull back to be similar to what we had supported the first iteration of the project before it continued. So we were not able to change our recommendation because, again, those things had not occurred in the record, but we did develop a set of conditions that said if the applicant supported that we could, that would be supportable to us. It would be something that we would have supported if it had been in the record. So there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. I think they thought I was putting that in the record, but I thought they were putting it in the record. So I think they may have a request for you here shortly about how they can take a pause to make sure we get that in the record, but I'll let Mr. McNeil and Mr. Pressman speak to that. But, with that said, if they make that request and you grant it, I can run upstairs and print something out so that they can submit it into the record, although, of course, it doesn't sound like it's changing the overall recommendation from Development Services.
So officially, your recommendation has not changed, but you've worked out verbally some trip capture limit that would be acceptable to you if it was acceptable to them.
Yeah, essentially, it's the full set of conditions that were modified to address this new proposal, and essentially it would be a full set of transportation conditions that if you were to find it approvable or the board were to approve it, that we would, find supportable, and that would be done the way that we would have done it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Then with that, we'll go to testimony in support. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in favor of this application? All right, I see one hand. Two people? Two people, don't be shy. Just one, okay. All right, and I don't think there's anyone online. All right, so could you please come forward? With only one person, you have 15 minutes, but feel free not to take the entire time. You could start by giving us your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Kenneth Bouquet. My address is 14719 Daybreak Drive, Lutz, Florida, 33559. I live approximately 5 minutes away from here. Let me start. My background, I'm 100% disabled vet, service connected. I own 4 businesses. I got into the food truck business about 2 years ago. I love it. Who doesn't love good food, right? Some of us are afraid of food trucks, but this food truck is amazing. It blew my mind, the type of customer base that they have that keep coming over and over and over again.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're on the record, so
Sure.
you have to speak to me on the
That's
microphone.
not a problem.
Yeah,
That's
thank
not a
you. I
problem.
appreciate it. We want to make sure we hear everything.
It brings a sense of community. After COVID, everybody is stuck in their house all the time. The kids, they can't play, they can't have enjoyment, they can't do anything. This is an Indian food truck business. The Indian culture, they love it. They come multiple times a week, the same people. I see them all the time. My background, the reason why I'm here is I've actually been hired on to kind of help manage the property on a part-time basis. And what I have seen personally, owning 4 businesses, the type of respect that they have for their customers, they wash their hands constantly, they wear gloves. I watch, trust me, because I'm pretty picky when it comes to my food and my family's food. I brought this food home to my family and they adore it. They absolutely adore it. The customer base that comes there, they adore it. They smile, they laugh, the kids are playing, they enjoy themselves. I am absolutely for this food truck business to be here. I've met both owners. One of them is here. His name is Ravi. The other one is Cheetan. They're both college students. 3 years ago, they started this business, and it is tremendous. Out of all the trucks I've seen in all of Tampa Bay, and I managed 30 of them, this is the one I was most interested in being a part of. And there's so much future for this business. It creates great revenue for the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. I can't even imagine what they do as far as tax revenue. They have great property. They have ample parking. The correct lumens as far as lighting so nobody hits each other at night. I've watched them grow. I've watched them solve problems. I've helped them solve problems. I've helped them to make sure their problems don't arise. And I am 100% for this. If I had more time, you don't want me to have more time, I would have brought probably 80 to 100 people of the Indian background. But that's another thing. I've actually talked to these folks, and I explained to them, we need to get other cultures here, not just the Indian population, but other cultures. And I've helped bring in and draw more crowds, and I've had multiple people come here in the neighborhood, across the street, around. The people I've spoke to, all the neighbors, and I love doing that. I love to meet the people around me. They are completely for having this food truck. To me, and I've met the owner of the gas station. He's a great guy. He really is, him and his brothers. They're the only one opposing it. No offense. Everybody else is for it. I do hear comments of people in the neighborhood yelling out their window obscenities to these folks. Horrible things that have come out their mouths. And I am totally against that. And it's not fair. So what we should be doing is finding locations like this in other communities, not just this one, that we have an area like this where people can get together and have fun. There's nothing wrong with this food truck being there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this food truck being here. It's a great business to have, you know? It promotes positivity, community, camaraderie, family, friends, where they could talk about things and enjoy themselves. I wish you would come there and see it yourself. Friday and Saturday night, it blows my mind. I pass by it on purpose every day to go to my house, just to see what they're doing. And I have so many videos on my phone that'll blow your mind. So I am absolutely 100% for this property to be a food truck park, even if it's only temporary for the future land use and development of what's going to happen here. And they understand what's happening. And we'll find another place and we'll be prepared when that time comes. I say yes. I say absolutely yes. And if we have a continuance or we have to come back to here again, trust me, you're going to have a lot of people behind me. I'll make sure of it. Okay? That's it. That's what I got to say.
Thank you, sir. I
Yes,
really
ma'am.
appreciate you coming down. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office, just to make sure, is there no one else that would like to speak in support? All right, seeing no one. Who would like to speak in opposition to this request? All right, I see one hand, two hands. Anybody online? Don't think so. All right, if you both could come forward. We'll split the time, 7.5 minutes apiece, if that works for you. And start by giving me your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Debbie Hines.
Into the microphone so we can hear you.
My
Perfect.
name's Debbie Hines.
Thank you.
I live at 15123 North 24th Street, Lutz, Florida, 33549.
And if you could tell us, if you'd like, why you're in opposition to this request.
Because they stay open till 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't get no sleep. My neighbor's dogs bark all the time. It's something ain't right over there, but who am I to say? The land ain't much bigger than this, and how are they going to put all those food trucks in a retention pond? The mosquitoes are going to eat us alive, and there's a smoke shop there, not a dry cleaners. It's not a dry cleaners where they're saying there's a dry cleaners. It's a smoke shop.
All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we move on?
I could go on, but come on, Sean, let me get you a little minute.
All right. Thank you for coming down. Ma'am, if you could please sign in with the clerk's
Sure.
office. I appreciate it. Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
My name is Nashad Safan. My property is 15118 Livingston Avenue. I'm right next to, between me and them is the gate. That's it, the fence. And I know Kevin talked about these good people and all this stuff about the food truck, but he didn't tell you the truth. The truth is, everything they've done in the food truck, they've done it after 1 o'clock in the morning. They build everything after 1 o'clock in the morning till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, every night. Everything they've done is against the law. If they want to follow the law, why don't they do everything with permit? Like the power line, they put it themselves. The water tank underground, they done it themselves. There's trash all over the place. They have 2 John for bathrooms, which all the customers come to our store to use our bathroom all the time. And second of all, and these guys, they're so close to my fence, we have no privacy whatsoever. I mean, we can't even go to our backyard. Either they using the bathroom or a fence, or they sit there, and the lights is on all night long, till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You noises, cars. I sent some pictures, a lot of pictures to show how many people are there. And they talk about for the community. None of these people from the community, none of them. Which, we welcome everybody in our community, but none of these people from the community who come there to eat. So the traffic is a lot of traffic there. And second of all, they say they want to be close to my fence. You imagine they're closer where they are already? I don't want them to be close to my fence. I want them to go by the law. What's the law say, 20 feet or 25 feet? I want them to be 25 feet away from us. They're not above the law because they have lawyers and they have money and stuff like this. They can come and do all this. Nobody above the law. But everything, like they built 2 sheds there on the weekend too. And the 2 sheds have rocks, concrete, slab of concrete. And now every time it rains, my property get flooded. It get flooded. And they have 2 pieces of land. Neither one have retention bond on them, neither side. And it's always because their land is higher now because the slab of concrete that they built on the weekend, and all the water comes to our house. Even the road got flooded. And we can't even leave the house till all the water settles down. And that's not me, that's a lot of my neighbor. And one more thing, I had another witness last time he came in. You know why he didn't come today? Because the food owner truck, he followed him to this house last time we came here in the hearing. He followed him to he was waiting for him in front of his house.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why the guy, he ain't showed up today.
Yeah.
The good people, the food truck guy, he followed the guy. He was waiting for him when he got home. Was February 18th. Yeah. That's not fair for us. And the other reason they're doing all the zoning thing, because they broke the law. And they're going to court for the last year and a half for the code enforcement stuff. That's why they're doing this. That's the other reason we are here, because they broke the law. And they shouldn't get rewarded for breaking the law. They should not. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. All right, seeing no one else in opposition, we'll go back to Development Services. Ms. Heinrich, anything further?
The only thing I needed to add for the applicant is the site plan that you'll be submitting for certification. Just be sure to remove the prohibition of gun sales due to the Florida state statute on that.
All right, that was it? All right, Mr. Pressman, we'll go back to you. You have 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Master. It's my understanding Mr. Ratliff ran upstairs to get that printed out for you.
Mr. Ratliff is in the back of the room.
Oh. Oh. So we want to be sure we include that in the record. We appreciate his extra effort, which he and the Transportation Department always do. I think it's important to recognize that we did notice 300 feet in a radius throughout the whole community. And the one gentleman just spoke, as I understand it, is the owner of the remaining of the PD, and as I understand it, is the owner of the C-store across the street. So there definitely is a competitive element involved from that perspective. Great respect for his comments and what he had to say, but I think that perspective is important. And what the applicant's trying to do is trying to address the uses on the site through zoning that have been cited, and to be able to move the site forward in a much better posture, much better position, and with a lot of improvement. So with that, we appreciate your attention and consideration.
All right, thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close major modification.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, that portion of the testimony is over.
And so
We've
we
closed
have
that.
We have it for you.
Okay, and so you're going to submit that into the record, Mr. McNeil? Thank you. Then with that, we'll close major modification 24-1141 and go to the next case.
Our next item is item D4, PD 24-1155. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from ASC1 to Plain Development. Tim Lampkin with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Sir, if you could exit the room, we have to move on with the agenda. Thank you for coming down. Good evening.
Thank you, Hearing Officer. I do want to thank Mr. Ratliff again for getting that together and making extra effort. This is PD 24-1155. This is in the Sefner Mango area, 5.06 acres. It's located at the crux of I-4 and Highway 92, and I-75 ramp, which runs behind it. The issue is ASC1 rezoning to PD for a professional residential facility for the purposes of addiction rehabilitation for a maximum of 100 persons living in an outpatient. What I'd like to do is I can have you guys come up real quick. There are members from Sober Life who are here. I'd like to just introduce them very quickly. And if you have any questions about the operation, how it works, you'll be able to do that. Just a quick introduction.
Hello, my name is James Chauncey. I'm the CEO of Sober Life Treatment. This is Anthony Raines. He is our operations manager. Stephanie, she is our medical director. Robin, he is the director of operations. And Ian Rivera, who is our clinical director.
All right. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Planning Commission, DSD support, National Resources, EPC, Conservation, Environmental Lands, no objections. They provide a wide range of uses to address issues that folks need help with. It's quite a long list. This is the PD plan comprised of 3 buildings, 9,000, 9,000, and 4,000 square feet. You can see there's a large wetland conservation area, which is over on the I-75 side. Under zoning, you can see that there's intensive zoning, manufacturing, commercial intensive, adjacent to the site, let alone the freeways. Future land use category CMU 12, which, as you all know, is a very intensive category, allows retail, commercial office, light industrial, multi-purpose. Planning Commission notes it's compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed plan development will complement the surrounding area. It's consistent. There are single-family uses, light and heavy industrial and commercial uses around the subject site. Development Services note it's located in an area comprised of light industrial, mixed commercial uses. Staff finds the request approvable. Beyond the area that is wetland, there's also a strip of public lands, and we're proposing, and of course there's buffer in the southwest area. 20-foot wide B buffer is required. Screening in lieu of the forestation, because there's a lot of forestation that will far exceed what code requires. And 20-foot wide type C, 30-foot type C required, screening again per forestation. It's a very heavily forested area, so it far exceeds what code would call for. So with that, I would like to call Anthony, just for 1 minute. He's going to tell you about his 1-minute experience, which I think is important for this use. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Raines. Address 925 Castle Court North, Tampa, Florida 33612. As the operations manager at Sober Life Treatment, I've been able to see the lives of many men change in Tampa, Florida. I was with Sober Life. Actually, Sober Life helped me out when I was coming through rehab myself. I'm currently in recovery. I'm almost 4 years clean as of June 15th. So due to this experience, due to this organization, I myself have been able to get stable housing and a stable life, and I myself have been in a position to see the growth of this organization and company, to see many men come through and see many lives changed. So to be able to see it from its conception basically to where it is now, I can see where it will be years and years from now. So I'm happy to be a part of this. I'm happy to be in this hearing. I'm happy to see where Sober Life Treatment will go in the future. It's been a blessing to me and many other people as well.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in.
Thank you. We appreciate your attention.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. We'll go to Development Services. Good evening.
Good evening. Tim Lampkin, Development Services. So the applicant's seeking to develop an approximately 5.06 acre unified development. It's located approximately 500 feet north of East US Highway 92, approximately 450 feet south of I-75 and the Interstate 4 I-4 interchange and adjacent to the off-ramp from I-74 to I-4. And the applicant's requesting ASC1 to plan development. And this is to allow for the development of a professional residential facility with a maximum of 100 residents. The CMU 12 allows 12 dwelling units per acre. This would equate to 60 units, 60 times 5, so they would otherwise be able to have a maximum of 300 residents. And because for the purposes of calculating the density, each placed resident in the facility is equivalent to 1/5 of a dwelling unit, equating to the maximum 300 placed residents. The applicant's proposing a maximum building height of 14 feet, which is under the 20-foot building height and therefore does not require additional compatibility setback. On the north boundary of the site, the applicant proposes a 20-foot wide buffer with type B screening. This exceeds the required 5-foot buffer with type A screening. Along the eastern property boundary, the applicant behind the access road, which will be the new required front, the applicant's proposing a 20-foot wide landscape buffer equivalent to urban scenic roadway requirements. Staff does note there's a variation request, and also on page 9 of 18, paragraph 2, it says the applicant proposes a 0-foot wide buffer with opaque fence, which is adjacent to the 50-foot drainage ditch to the west-southwest, which is adjacent to the off-ramp. I'd like to strike that through, because as the applicant just stated, they're actually proposing a 20-foot wide buffer with type B screening, which is the required buffer. And as the applicant stated, it will be reviewed at site and development to ensure that the existing vegetation meets the standard. The applicant is also proposing a 20-foot wide buffer with type C screening on the south property, when normally it would be a 30-foot wide buffer with type C screening. And that concludes staff's presentation, unless you had any questions.
Just one quick question about that PD variation to reduce the buffer on the west-southwest property boundary. I see they're asking to go to 20 feet with a type B buffer. What is the standard? What's required?
So that is the standard. I think that there was a bit of discussion between the applicant and staff. The applicant really wanted to make certain that it was compatible, and they are not proposing that variation anymore.
Oh, okay, so it's only the southern boundary, the 30 to 20 with type
Correct.
C. That's it. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That was all of my questions. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in an urban service area within the community mixed-use 12 future land use category, and is within the limits of the September Mango Community Plan. The proposal meets the intent and flew Objective 16, which require new developments to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. The neighborhood is a functional unit of the community development. There is a need to protect existing neighborhoods and communities and those that will emerge in the future. To preserve, protect, and enhance neighborhoods and communities, all new development must conform to the following policies. Goals 12 and Objective 12-1 of the Community Design Department of the FLU require new developments to recognize the existing community and to be designed in a way that relates and is compatible with the predominant character of the surrounding area. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is mostly comprised of mixed uses. There are single-family uses, light, heavy industrial, and commercial uses around the subject site. There will be a 30-foot setback, type B buffer along the northern property line, and a 20-foot setback along the southern and eastern line. The proposed planned development will complement the surrounding area. Overall, staff finds the proposed use is an allowable use in the CMU 12 category. It's compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area, and the proposed planned development will allow for development that's consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
Yeah, I just had one question for the applicant, which would be to clarify the screening that's proposed along the south. I see in the conditions that we have the masonry wall will not be required, and that's a component of the type C screening. Is that still correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. With that, don't go too far, Mr. Pressman. So with that, nothing else, Ms. Heinrich?
No, ma'am.
All right. Then, Mr. Pressman, do you have anything for rebuttal? All right. Then with that, we'll close rezoning PD 24-1155 and go to the next case.
Our next application is item D5, PD 24-1311. The applicant is requesting to resume property from CN to Plain Development. Tanya Chappello with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dilip Agarwal. My address is 301 West Platt Street, Tampa, Florida, 33606. I'm here representing 8704 Jackson Springs Road, Tampa, Florida. The current zoning for this land is commercial neighborhood, and we are trying to rezone it to PD. The idea is to build townhouses or single-family homes depending on what the site plan we come up with. Other than that, taking into consideration the nearby development that we have in the neighborhood, which is mostly residential. So we didn't think it was a good idea to go with commercial, which is like an apartment building or a fast food business or church or anything. So to take the compatibility of the surroundings, we decided to go with townhomes, single-family townhomes, so that people can live there. We did pretty much the survey, the geotechnical survey, and what we found was everything was compatible with what the county wanted. We didn't find any trees with a DBH of 17 or 18 inches. And same thing with the geotechnical survey that we did. We didn't find any issue that will stop us from doing the development that we are trying to do on this particular piece of land. Currently, the building is empty. I'm planning on moving there in the next month or so to live there and see the surrounding. But as of right now, the land is empty. That's all I got.
All right. Just a quick question. So these are fee simple townhomes, correct, that you're proposing?
Correct.
They would be owned. All right. And you mentioned that you plan to live on the subject property?
We do have a 1,684 square feet home right now, which is because this whole process is going to take us between 2 to 3 years based on our past experience, getting the site plan approved and then the building plan and the civil plans. So until then, I mean, I live in a rented apartment. It's better to just live there rather than once we get the rezoning done.
All right. Well, let me ask, just while because this is an issue, Ms. Heinrich, I don't see that as a interim or a temporary use. Would the conditions need to be changed to allow that?
Yes, I would recommend if the applicant does want that interim use, that be added tonight to allow for the single-family home to remain.
Because, sir, right now, as it reads, if this were approved, the use only would be 37 townhomes, and that would be it. So that would be a consideration, but we'll see where we get. All right, thank you so much for your testimony. If you could please sign in. Development Services. Good evening.
Good evening. Tanya Chapela, Development Services. The existing zoning is commercial neighborhood. The proposed zoning is for planning development to allow 37 townhome units. The proposed uses are comparable with the adjacent multifamily residential development. Furthermore, the proposed 17.5 dwelling units per acre density is under the 20 dwelling unit maximum density allowable in the Res 20 comprehensive plan category. Code required buffering and screening, 20-foot wide buffer with type B screening between the subject site and single-family residential to the south and east area will be provided. The maximum building height of 35 feet results in a 50-foot building setback along the east and south, adjacent to single-family residential, a minimum 10-foot rear yard setback, and 20-foot buffer will provide a minimum separation of 30 feet. The single-family home located to the east is located approximately 40 feet from the common property boundary and separated by significant vegetation. The home is oriented towards Robin Hood Drive. The single-family home located to the south is approximately 110 feet from the common boundary and oriented towards Jackson Springs Road. The proposed uses are less intense than the approved uses of commercial neighborhood. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to conditions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Mr. Perez, let me just ask you to confirm for the record. I see that this property is currently zoned commercial neighborhood, and the transportation comments indicate a reduction in traffic if this were approved for 37 units. Is that correct?
That is correct. Our analysis shows that under the commercial neighborhood zoning, they could build out with fast food restaurant, with drive-through, and other commercial uses that are high trip generators. Under the proposed rezoning, 37 townhomes, that is a decrease in daily and peak hour traffic.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We'll go to the Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area located within the residential 20 future land use category, and is located within the limits of the Town and Country Community Plan. The intent of the residential category is to designate areas for high-density residential development. Typical uses in the residential category include residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, multi-purpose projects, and mixed-use developments. Non-residential uses must meet established locational criteria for specific land use or seek a waiver. The proposed townhome use is consistent with the uses expected in the residential 20 future land use category. Per future land use element, Objective 8 and Policy 8.1, the residential 20 allows for the consideration of up to 20 dwelling units per gross acre. With 2.11 acres, the site may be considered for up to 42 dwelling units. With the proposed 37 dwelling units, the density would be 17.5 dwelling units per gross acre. This density is well within the range and may be considered for the site and is therefore consistent with the development expected in the residential 20 future land use category. Based upon the above considerations and the goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by Development Services.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? Okay, how many hands do we have? So I see 4, 5. Anybody online? I don't think so. All right, if you could all stand up and come forward, it makes it go a little quicker. And with 5 people to speak over the 15 minutes, that's 3 minutes apiece, unless you'd like to allocate it differently. So Jennifer, if you could just start with 3 minutes, and whoever would like to go first, give us your name and address.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Madam
evening.
Hearing Master and our Sheriff Deputy, thank you for having us. My name is Thomas James Adams. I live at 6305 Teresa Street, Tampa, Florida, 33615. This home, when I was a child, we moved into, my mom and dad and I moved into the neighborhood 1960 on Jackson Springs Road, 8611, right across the street from the county park that's there right now. This neighborhood used to be ag. It had cattle on it. It had horses on it. The property in question, 8704, if you strip it, which this person is going to do, it'll take grandfather oaks or grand oaks out. It'll take an abundance of animals out, raccoons, possums, squirrels. I remember my 18th birthday, Robin Irwin lived on it. That was his mother and father's property. My 18th birthday, there were nesting eagles on that property. The infrastructure, in my opinion, won't handle it. It's already crowded at best. Driving, people running all over the place, automobiles parking, not on their properties, on the streets. You can't, the thoroughfare, you can't get through unless you ask somebody to move a vehicle. The person involved here is looking to make a big lick at our expense. That's my opinion. There's not enough room there to put that many residents or that many dwellings without an overload that I feel our neighborhood can't sustain. Where's the water going to run off at? We just had 2 big storms. It flooded Jackson Springs Road. It flooded our area. Where's the water going? Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you for coming down, sir. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Ballard. I live at 8521 Robin Hood Drive and have been there for coming on 36 years now. Good evening. We are grateful to have a forum in which to convey our concerns regarding the building of townhomes in this area. In addition to the email sent to the Board of County Commissioners, which outlined our concerns for the neighborhood that we and many others have lived in, it does not bode confidence in us that developer has any concern or consideration for the people living in our little community. And can anybody tell me who this developer/owner is?
Sir, that information you can get from staff after, but please proceed with your comments.
Because it's not listed anywhere. Therefore, the points of my concern. Traffic. The project anticipates to be a daily increase of 266 average day trips, with a number of units being built. This small street is only 700 to 800 feet long. 37 units means 74 vehicles up and down this little road. Flooding. During Helene, Jackson Springs, Robin Hood Drive, and that property were completely underwater. When you raise the land 4 to 5 feet to put these buildings here, where's that water going to go? The little pond he's projecting in the back is not enough to handle that. Crime increases exponentially with overcrowding. We are going to have to endure 3 to 5 years of construction, noise, and dust. 20 feet of shrubbery is hardly a barrier for the noise that this complex is going to produce. Disregard of state protected trees and wildlife. No consideration for their preservation as already protected by state law is in this site plan. They are planning on clearing it completely. 7,500-year-old trees here. In the lower right corner of the site plan is Woodry LLC, which they are saying is an apartment complex. It is not. It is a rehab center. And I'm sure rehab centers want peace and quiet to heal. I'm 95% sure there's a gopher tortoise burrow on this property. I've already reached out to FWC for verification and identification on this matter. There seems to be a great disregard by the developer for our tiny little community. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional here because it's a mess. This project is an affront to and insult to our good natures. We asked the Board of County Commissioners elected by the taxpaying citizens of town and country not let this proposed townhouse project that we all see as inconsiderate and intrusive not be allowed to move forward. This project does not show us in any way that it will improve our community. My time's up. 16 detached single-family homes, 32 vehicles, that's acceptable. 37 three-story towers, 74 vehicles is not. The entrance to this place is going to be at my driveway.
Sir, if you could wrap it up, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please walk a mile in our shoes, and how would you like it if this was happening in your own front yard? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for coming down. Please sign in. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Master.
If you could bring that microphone to you.
My name is Doris Udall.
Can you bring the microphone just a little bit down? Right there, yeah, perfect.
My name is Doris Udall, and I live at 8627 Jackson Springs Road, directly across from this proposed development. This house was built in 1914. That gives you an idea of when this neighborhood was started. This is an old neighborhood. This is Rocky Creek. This isn't town and country. This is an old established neighborhood. And this property, sitting there in front of us, had been a single-family home for many years. Then a veterinarian bought it. The vet's office did not create a lot of traffic. It was very quiet. He was there until just a few years ago. When he closed, a church rented it for like maybe a year. Once a week, there was a few people there. That was it. This development would ruin our privacy. I mean, 35 foot looking over into your yard, really. The main concern is the flooding. They're going to raise that. They're going to have to raise it. It floods now during our thunderstorms. I mean, they're going to have to raise it, which is going to bring water into the yards of all of us. The other thing is I didn't see anything addressed about it being so close to Rocky Creek. Rocky Creek is a tidal creek connected to the bay. We had a huge storm surge during Helene, but it floods other times too. And the beginning of where those townhouses would be is less than 400 feet from Rocky Creek. So I don't see this addressed anywhere. I see them saying something about consistent with commercial zoning and fast food and all. I have no idea. There's never been any fast food. Dr. Bonsack, the vet, was there, period. That was quiet. The nursing home that he mentioned, the rehab center, has been there for many years. It's down the road and far back in the woods, very quiet. We just want to enjoy our homes. I've lived there 67 years, and I want to enjoy my home without having flooding in my yard, noise, traffic, light pollution. And let's don't forget, they're destroying all these grandfather oaks. They're destroying the whole ecological system. Some people spotted a scrub jay there. That's a protected species. Others have seen eagles. We need to stop this. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. If you could please sign in. Next, please. Next speaker. Good evening.
Yeah, I definitely do not want to see my grandparents' original house get tore down.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Angela Wolfram, and my address is 8517 Robin Hood Drive.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Yes, that's my grandparents' second house that they built on that street. And they named that street back in 1955. And I don't really want to see anything happen on that property, because that street is, well, it's still all septic. And if they build those townhomes, then it's probably going to change. And we probably will not have septic anymore. So our water bill is going to go way high. So, yeah, because my water bill is only like $20 a month because of septic. But I'm just not looking forward to see all the woods getting tore down and everything, and them tear down my grandparents' first original house that they built. I don't know why they just don't sell it, because that's a lot of land that is on that street. That's why my grandparents got to name it. And they ended up not wanting to own all that land anymore. So that's why they built the house that I own now. But yeah, I'm just not very happy about all this. So I was born and raised on that street. I've been there for 44 years now. So, but yeah, I just hope they don't tear the woods down. And I don't really want to have like city water or whatever it's called. I just know septic, so. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Good evening.
Hello. My name is Gloria Hubbard. I live at 8627 Jackson Springs Road. I'm here because the development of this property, not like everybody said, would ultimately destroy the neighborhood. From what I understand is that a lot of the readings or studies done were taken like around Sheldon Road, Hillsborough Avenue. That's a high traffic area. We don't live next to that. They're not going to put a McDonald's on Robin Hood Drive and Jackson Springs Road. Not to mention the roads are so small. I think of South Tampa. Here you have these small roads, you have these apartments and townhouses crowding the roads. They're horrible. It's awful to drive in there. This is what this gentleman is proposing, is to create a crowded area that our area is not designed to take. That doesn't even consider, again, the flooding that's going to occur. It's close to Rocky Creek. Also, we're looking at drainage, we're looking at sewer systems. It is not a good development for our area. If he's going to develop, no use scraping off all the trees. The trees are a lot bigger than what they said earlier. These are old grandfather oaks. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming down. If you could please sign in. Was there anyone else? Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir. Good evening.
My name is John Canales, and I also live at 8521 Robin Hood Drive. Our neighborhood is a very quiet neighborhood. There's a park behind our house. There's a skate park behind our house. Then that street that they want to put all these cars and 37 townhomes, kids run up and down that street all the time. You know, it's bigger than the skate park, and they get to wherever they need to go from there. And joggers actually run up and down our street all the time. Now we want to add 37 of these giant townhomes on this little property. And I disagree with the statement that the trees are less than 18 inches. Because the tree across my street, I cannot even put my hands around it. It is that big, and it is a big oak. And I know that property down on Gandy, where Kojak's was, that project was stopped because of all the trees and the land itself. We would like to see something going on over there. Right now, the hurricane has got so much damage, there are still trees down across that property. Right where he planning on moving in now, there's a giant tree right in front of it, down. So I really oppose this happening. I would like something to happen to that property. But 37 townhomes, I was standing in the middle of the Robin Hood Drive with water almost up to my knee. It almost entered my house. It did enter the previous, my next door neighbor. She got flooded. And if you raise that property anymore, my house will be flooded. My septic tank is in front, and it got flooded, and I had to have it worked on because of it. But I do hope that the 37 townhomes are not going to be put in. Something else, perhaps, but not that many of townhomes. And with the assisted living facility, the rehab center behind it, they want to put the pond literally right next to it, retention pond, excuse me. And that is a danger unless that is blocked off somehow to keep people from accidentally getting to it. But thank you very much, and I really hope there's no 37 townhomes.
Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. Please sign in.
Thank you.
All right. I think that was the last speaker. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So we'll close opposition testimony, and we'll go back to Development Services. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. Then, sir, as the applicant has the last word, and you have 5 minutes for rebuttal if you'd like to say anything. Now.
So I was aware of most of the questions that the neighbors have asked. I would like to give an assurance that the 35 feet that we're talking about, that's the maximum height that we requested with the county because that's what is allowed. But this will be no more than 2-story townhouses with a height of not more than 22 feet. Second thing, as far as wildlife on the property, we have done a survey, and there was nothing on the survey. The wildlife, the county has done it, and nothing was found. As far as the trees are concerned, I said 18 dBH. 1 dBH is 3.14 inches. So if you multiply that by 18, that's about 55, 56 inches. That's the biggest tree that I have on our lot. We did a survey. We did a topography survey, the land survey, and the elevation survey, along with the tree survey, and that's what we found. As far as the traffic, I mean, if we look at what we could have done, we could have made it more worse by building an apartment building or a fast food restaurant or something commercial. But like I said, to go with the flow of the neighborhood that we currently have in that neighborhood, mostly residential, we wanted to keep the same thing in the neighborhood. That way we don't deviate from what we have, and at the same time keep the flow of traffic on both Jackson Springs and Robin Hood to a minimal. The entry and exit point will be at Robin Hood Drive. It won't be at Jackson Springs. The county very clearly said that we need to use the Robin Hood Drive for any entry and exit. Jackson Springs will not be used because of the traffic on the road. And other than that, noise, I mean, that's pretty what it is, because we have two other huge developments on Teresa Street, where we have a 37 townhome development exactly in 2 acres, and that is still going on as we speak right now. They are doing a 9 townhomes development, and after this 9 townhomes, they are going to do 9 more. And I drive around that neighborhood all the time. I don't see anything different than what a normal neighborhood looks like. So it is compatible with the flow of traffic. We don't see that much traffic. Yes, there will be an increase of traffic. We have done a traffic study for that purpose, and what we found was building townhouses was the best thing to do for that neighborhood, taking into consideration the noises, the pollution, and the traffic. And other than that, basically, oak trees, I've already mentioned that infrastructure. I mean, I drove around the lot the other day. I saw 3-4 sewers of stormwater. So we do have a sufficient amount of stormwater to go into the sewers. And like we suggested, we have to connect to a sewer for the 37 townhouses. We have a couple of places where it could be connected, but we need to work with the county as to where exactly the sewers need to be connected. But when connecting, we will be taking the county, the neighborhood, and everything into consideration before digging any holes or anything to connect the sewers. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that.
I hope I addressed everything.
Thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close rezoning PD 24-1311 and go to the next case.
Our next application is item D6, Major Mod 25-0133. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 07-0785. Tanya Chapella with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer, other members of the dais. While we wait for the room to empty, I will go ahead and just start my introduction. Michael Brooks, for the record, 400 North Tampa Street, Suite 1910, with Brooks, Rocha, Colby, and Rice. I'm going to introduce the team real quick. Madam Hearing Officer, I have with me 2 members of the applicant, which is, here's my, sorry about that. Kathleen Hess and Jose Martinez are here with me. The owner is CSC Group, which has owned the property since 2007, and we're going to talk about the fact this is a major mod to a 2007 PD. Obviously, our firm is Land Counsel. Buller Engineering is working on one of the out parcels, and Michael Razor is here with me for transportation issue. For the most part, actually, let me say also for the clerk, I do have copies of the PowerPoint that I will give you at the end of the presentation. I have a copy of a certified site plan markup that Mr. Ratliff has done that I will put into the record as well. And any rebuttal information, of course, that Mr. Razor uses. So with that, I'm going to keep the kind of the nuts and the bolts of the presentation fairly simple. There may be some transportation discussion towards the end of the presentation. There has been opposition. I'm not aware if they're on the phone or if they're in the room or not, but full transparency letting you know. So this is a 8.75 acre site. It's at the corner of, southwest corner of 19th and US 41. It's a property that most people know if you've traveled south on US 41. It's currently undeveloped in the USA and on the northern end of the Ruskin Community Plan area. The site sits within a pocket of OC 20, which, Madam Hearing Officer, you know, is which is our most intensive commercial category, one of our most intensive categories overall. That OC 20 area stretches on the east and the west side of 41, and so for all intents and purposes, to the north, south, east, and west, we have OC 20, and then there's some Res 6 that is behind the public shopping center just to the north, north of 19th. Again, the adjacent uses, this is a little bit more of a zoom in here to the north. There is, I mentioned, a mixed plan development, public shopping center, significant retail shopping opportunities, major HART bus stop in front of that location as well. To the east, there are commercial general type uses, fast food, drive-in movie theater, 135,000 square feet planned at that corner. And to the south is commercial neighborhood vacant, and to the west is agricultural rural vacant. So that's the site. This is an excerpt of the existing PD, and I wanted to put this up for a couple of reasons. One is that, just for comparison purposes, the original PD was approved in 2007. I think Mr. Preston actually handled this case back then. It was right on the cusp of the Ruskin Community Plan being adopted. It was approved for 50,000 square feet of commercial neighborhood uses at a 0.2 FAR. I will tell you that math doesn't quite work out, but nonetheless, that is what the conditions are. It was a very detailed site plan. There are very specific commercial users that access, move around the site via internal driveways. There are 3 total access connections to this property, one on 19th and 2 on US 41, and that will be a theme that we'll come back to. Those connection points on the current site plan are, for all intents and purposes, the same. The reason we're here is due to physical and regulatory conditions that occurred in 2007. Also not aware to what extent maybe there was some preliminary engineering done with this site, but nonetheless, the property today has substantially more floodplain area, requires substantially greater stormwater storage than previously estimated, and you could not build this planned development. Give you an idea of what that change condition looks like. On the left, you've got the 2007 site plan, which we've colored enhanced with green, reflecting what I've referred to as open space, but it's the floodplain area, the retention areas, the buffers, et cetera. You had roughly 1.35 acres on the 2007 plan. On the plan before you tonight, we've got roughly 3.38 acres, which is roughly 2.5 times more open space would be necessary in order to develop this project. And so, again, this is why we're here. The major modification request does reduce the total square footage from 56,000 to 49,000 square feet. We are asking for commercial general uses versus commercial neighborhood, but I will touch on, there's some caveats to that. But just on that intensity number, again, that's a fairly sizable reduction from the current approved PD. And the reduction in the minimum floor area ratio would go down from 0.2 to 0.13 on the current PD. Notwithstanding the square footage that's approved, there are use limitations that the applicant has agreed to. These are essentially traffic and circulation intensive uses, churches, pre-Ks, public schools, reception halls, and things of the like. There are also in these conditions trip limitations. There are caps on both gross daily and peak trips and caps on net new daily and peak trips at the driveway. So while the square footage is still close to being under 50,000 square feet, it's unlikely that that much square footage would be constructed on this site. And with that point, I'm going to ask Mr. Razor to come up and talk a little bit more detail about the driveway, particularly traffic conditions and the driveways.
Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Michael Razor with Razor Transportation Consulting, 19046 Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, number 308, Tampa, Florida. And I'm a registered professional engineer with a specialization in traffic. So the site plan, as you can see on the screen, includes 3 vehicular driveway connections to the external roadway network. 2 connections to US Highway 41, and 1 driveway connection to 19th Avenue Northwest. Each of these driveway connections will include restrictions for certain traffic movements due to a combination of access management requirements and existing driveway connections proximate to the project site. The connection labeled as Driveway A is located near the southern boundary of the site and is planned to provide for right in, right out, left in traffic movements to and from US 41. The connection labeled as Driveway B is located north of Driveway A, south of 19th Avenue, and this driveway is planned to provide for right in, right out traffic movements to and from US 41. Both driveways A and B will be subject to formal approval by FDOT during permitting. The connection labeled as Driveway C is located west of US 41 and is planned to provide for right in, right out traffic movements to and from 19th Avenue Northwest. The planned right-in, right-out restriction of Driveway C reflects a more restricted condition than for the 2007 zoning, which also allowed for left-out traffic movements onto 19th Avenue. Since the 2007 zoning, the public shopping center located to the north was developed circa 2016, where the driveway connection for the Publix impairs the ability for this project to have a safe and operational left turn onto 19th Avenue. Therefore, to provide for safe and efficient traffic operating conditions, Driveway C was modified to eliminate the left out as was previously approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you could please sign in. Mr. Brooks, does that complete your presentation?
Yeah, we'll reserve any additional time for rebuttal if that's acceptable, but for the sake of brevity, yes, we'll move on.
Thank you so much. Development Services.
Tanya Chapela, Development Services. PD 070785 is approved for commercial neighborhood uses. The request is to allow for restricted commercial general uses and to reduce commercial entitlements. The existing approval is for a maximum of 56,000 commercial neighborhood uses, which constitutes 0.15 FAR. The proposed modification is for a maximum of 49,000 square feet of commercial general uses, except of the following: churches with 301 seats or more, pre-K, daycare, childcare, and child nurseries, adult care centers, private and charter schools K-12, public schools K-12, banquet and reception halls, and wedding chapels. All of that at a maximum FAR of 0.13. The proposed uses are comparable to the surrounding commercial uses, and the proposed layout is compatible with the surrounding development pattern. Furthermore, the proposed 0.13 FAR is under the approved 0.2 FAR, and under the 0.75 FAR allowable in the OC20 Comprehensive Plan category. Given the above, staff finds the proposed modification to be compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping the general development pattern of the area. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to proposed conditions of approval.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area within Office Commercial 20 future land use category and is located within the limits of the Ruskin and Shop Store area-wide systems community plans. The OC20 category allows for the consideration of agricultural, community, commercial type uses, office uses, mixed-use development, and compatible residential uses. OC20 is located to the south, west, and east of the subject site and extends north across 19th Avenue Northwest, along with Residential 6. The proposed major modification for a maximum of 49,000 square feet of CG uses meets the Flu Objective 7, Flu Objective 8, and each of their respective policies. Objective 18 and Policy 18.1 require community plans throughout the county to be consistent with a comprehensive plan. The subject site is located within the limits of the Ruskin and South Shore Area-wide Systems community plans. The applicant is providing sidewalks and pedestrian connectivity, along with proposing to construct a trail amenity in the right-of-way adjacent to the subject site. Goal 1 of the Ruskin Community Plan wishes to establish a mixed-use, walkable, and pedestrian-friendly town center. The South Shore Area-wide Systems Plan seeks to implement pedestrian pathways in the area. The proposal is consistent with Flu Objective 18, Policy 18.1, and the Livable Communities element. Overall, staff finds that the proposed use is an allowable use in the office commercial 20 category and is compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area. The proposed major modification will allow for development that is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the future low-use element of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one? All right. Ms. Heinrich, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And just for the record, I did see a letter in the file from an adjacent property owner that had concerns about the driveway C, but I do see that that's addressed in the transportation comments. Mr. Perez, is there anything else you wanted to add regarding that before I move on?
No, Transportation Review reviewed this and has no objection.
All right,
Subject to
thank you so
conditions of
much.
approval.
Then we'll go back to the applicant who has the last word, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am. If I can just take 20 seconds since I put this slide together for you. Just want to point out no waivers and variances being requested here. There were no objections by the county reviewing staffs and departments. Planning Commission has found it consistent, as Mr. Royal just told you. Development Services found it approvable. And I just want to point out two specific findings. The first one in the Development Services staff report that is specific to the comparable nature of the uses and its consistency and compatibility with the surrounding area. And then secondly, the staff report points out that this would be at least a de-intensification of the FAR and the square footage. But as we explained, notwithstanding, there will be trip caps and other use caps. With that, that concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close major modification 25-0133. Seems like a good time to take a break, so it's 7:55, so if we could be back by 8 o'clock to resume the hearing, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the April 15th, 2025 zoning hearing master hearing. We are back from our recess, and that means, Ms. Heinrich, we are ready to call the next case.
Our next item is item D7, PD 25-0144. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AR to plain development. James Baker with Development Services will provide staff findings, and you should have already received a revised staff report, which makes a modification to condition 3.2.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening. Hearing officer Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. This is PD 25-0144. Planning Commission, DSD support, natural resources, transportation, conservation, environmental lands, management, EPC, environmental services, no objections. We're located in the Wamama South Shore area. See, it's close to 674 and located on West Lake Drive. Running east-west is College Avenue or 674. It's 20.05 acres plus or minus. These three separate parcels are the project site. Issue is AR to PD to allow 72 dwelling units, which would be laid out in this plan as, which is part of the record, and minimum lot details. In the general vicinity surrounding the site, predominantly is a mitigation bank conservation area. There's a migrant camp and farm support to the north. Future land use categories R4 next to the WRV2, which is agricultural, residential, multi-purposed. Zoning is AR and is conducive and compatible with the PD single family that is pretty predominant in the area. To the north, subject site is in purple to the bottom. To the north, 24044 is environmental, part of that conservation area that runs to the east. 06022 is at 4 units per acre. You have 89097, which is a vast single-family area. 0622 is RSC 9 standards. 240044 is indicated as part of the that wetland conservation area. And 89097, single-family detached with similar lot sizes as compared to today's site. Planning Commission notes it is consistent, complementary use to the surrounding land use pattern. Density is below what may be considered consistent with the environmental and sustainability section of the comp plan. Find it compatible. Development Services note that Development Services does not foresee any compatibility uses with the proposed plan development. It's consistent with maintaining neighborhood scale and integrating with adjacent land uses. I did check the optics today. I did not see any citizens' comments that were loaded, so we have not heard or are aware of any opposition or concerns in the immediate area. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
No questions at this time, but thank you. I appreciate it. Please sign in. Development Services. Good evening.
Good evening. James Baker, Development Services. The request is to rezone 3 parcels comprising 20.05 acres from agricultural to planned development that will consist of 72 units. The subject site is located along West Lake Drive. Adjacent uses to the area consist of undeveloped agricultural land to the north, planned development that includes the Bullfrog Creek mitigation area to the east and south, and planned development that includes multi-use to the west. I want to refer you to condition number 3.2, where it's been stricken for new information. The home's primary door shall face the street.
I do see that.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Terry Crowell, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area within the residential 4 feature land use category and is located within the limits of the Waimama Village Community Plan and the South Shore Area Wide Systems Plan. The intent of the residential 4 category is to designate areas that are suitable for low density residential development. Typical uses in the residential 4 category include residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multi-purpose projects. Non-residential uses must meet established locational criteria for specific land use or seek a waiver. The proposed single-family residential use is consistent with the uses expected in the residential future land use category. Per future land use element objective 8 and policy 8.1, the Res 4 allows for the consideration of up to 4 dwelling units per gross acre. With 20.05 acres, the site may be considered for up to 80 dwelling units. With 72 proposed dwelling units, the density would be 3.59 dwelling units per gross acre. The density is well within the range that may be considered for the site and is therefore consistent with the development expected in the Res 4 future land use category. Based upon the above considerations and the goals, objectives, and policies, Plan Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'll go back to the applicant. If you have the last word, if you'd like it. Mr. Pressman? Or at rebuttal, if you have anything you want to add.
We're good, thank you. I did want to thank James and Michelle, because we did need to get through some conditions, and they were great to work with, and we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. We'll close rezoning 25-0144 and go to the next case.
Our next item is item D8, PD 25-0261. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from PD and CG to plain development. James Baker with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right, is the applicant here? Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Angela Rauber. I'm with Hillward and Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Avenue, Suite 3700. I'm here for the applicants. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. This is for a rezoning of 2 parcels that are located in Riverview area. This is the intersection of Rivercrest Drive and US Highway 301 South. There are 2 parcels here. One is currently zoned PD. The other is zoned CG. And the proposal is to rezone both parcels into a PD to allow a bank credit union facility with drive-through lanes, drive-through amenities. The PD portion is the portion that is closer to 301 now. It's currently vacant. The dental office that was previously there has been demolished, and the other part of the property is vacant. And it has a considerable amount of tree canopy, which will be hopefully the area that's used for stormwater detention and parking areas with trees to remain on the property. This is the conceptual or the site plan. It is a simple site plan. It doesn't have the access points shown on this because that will be deferred, but there will be sidewalks pursuant to the Land Development Code that are added to this site once it moves to site construction, assuming that it's approved for the rezoning. The surrounding neighborhood has a residential area to the north, which is made up of townhome developments. There is residential to the west and to the south of the subject property, which is single-family detached. There's a commercial center directly to the south of the subject property. And then, of course, to the east is US Highway 301. And then across 301, there is a large 23-acre site that is approved for a hospital site. So this is very much a mixed-use area in the immediately surrounding area. I've included this street view from Google Maps. The reason I did that is to show what the site currently kind of looks like. This was captured in February 2025. There was some confusion when we were looking at Google Maps initially because every view showed an older version and showed things that are not currently existing on the property, and specifically including that turn lane that you see and the sidewalk that you see along 301. So again, you see those trees. Another reason that's significant is because this is in Riverview and South Shore planning areas, and so that view along what you see from 301, the intent is to include as much of those additional trees as possible so that they can remain. This is the future land use map. I'll move on. Again, this is the zoning map, which shows that it is 2 parcels one of which is CG and one is currently PD. And then, of course, we've received positive feedback from staff. There are no comments that I saw in the record, and hopefully that's gets us over the finish line unless there are questions to get this positively reviewed tonight.
No questions. I appreciate your testimony. If you could please sign in. We'll go to Development Services.
James Baker Development Services. This is a request to rezone 2 vacant parcels with an existing plan development, folio 0100, and commercial general, folio 7644.0000, zoning to 1 plan development to facilitate a credit union. Site is located at 10620 Rivercrest Drive. Surrounding area is primarily residential, with most properties developed with single-family homes, but also includes a townhomes villa-type housing development adjacent to the north and west. Adjacent zonings to the south and east are planned developments comprising a retail center and a hospital, respectively. Development Service does not foresee any compatibility concerns with the proposed development. The surrounding area is residential, and higher intense residential uses, such as to the north, are adequately buffered and screened from the development. The density of the proposed development is appropriate for the area and does not pose any negative impacts to the surrounding residential uses. Anything you?
No questions. Thank you, sir.
Right,
That's
thank
all.
you.
Thank you very much. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is in the urban service area within the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category and is within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan and South Shore Area-Wide Citizens Plan. The proposal meets the intent of FLU Objective 4.4 and FLU Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use patterns comprise of mixed use, vacant land, and single-family and light commercial uses in the immediate area. Food Policy 4.4.1 states that any density or intensity increase shall be compatible with existing, proposed, or planned surrounding development. The applicant proposed the retention of the vegetation and developing a retention stormwater pond, which will create a natural buffer between the credit union and residential uses to the west. The transition to a use which is allowed in a commercial general zoning district would allow for development that is compatible with the surrounding area as the light commercial uses are to the south along South US Highway 301, and therefore would be consistent with the policy direction. The subject site does not meet locational criteria as established in FLU Objective 4.7. The applicant submitted a waiver for CLC criteria based upon the fact that the proposed use is an allowable use in the existing commercial general zoning district, existing light commercial uses, operating characteristics of the credit union, and enhanced buffering to improve the compatibility concerns. Planning Commission staff recommends that the board approve the waiver request. With the inclusion of the submitted waiver for the commercial location criteria and associated justifications listed, the proposal meets the intent of Objective 4.7 and its associated policies. Based upon above considerations and the goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and that's subject to the conditions by Development Services. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? Okay, while he's coming up, is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? All right, good evening, sir. If you could give us your name and address, please.
Thank you for having me. Andrew Lester, 9610 Oak Ridge Avenue, Riverview, Florida, 33578. I would just like to draw the council's attention to some data that I received from FDOT Council Florida 30122, some FDOT sensor data, some Hillsborough MPO study data. So, U.S. Highway 301 and Gibson Drive traffic surge. So we had daily vehicles of 32,000 in 2010, and this is when the neighborhood got speed bumps. I just want to highlight that. 2023, we are now experiencing 47,500 daily vehicles passing through the intersection of 301 and Gibson Drive. Can I have back that slide? Is this?
Yeah, we have someone that can help you with that.
Sweet. I can keep going too. So during rush hour, we have 3,150 cars that go through that intersection between 4 and 6 p.m. This is actually 2010 data, I'm sorry, and I can provide this to whoever needs it. In 2023, we're now getting at 5,900 cars an hour through that intersection, and this is from the FDOT sensor data. So back in 2010, we used to have 0. Is there another picture? Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, cool. The backup length in 2010 was 0.4 miles. We are now at 1.4. This is from the Hillsborough County MPO study. So this is what I'd like to draw the attention to. So in 2010, we got speed bumps on all these streets due to excessive cut-through traffic. So on my street, which is Oak Ridge, I don't have a pointer, but it's the far street anyway. There's 3 streets, Rivercrest, where they're proposing the credit union. Then my street's the far street, Oak Ridge, and then there's also Pine Ridge. So yes. In 2010, we had 214 vehicles cutting through a day, which is what led to the speed bumps being added. We are currently at 185. Now, this is all data from Waze, so I do not have any data from Apple. So Google and Waze have provided this data because they do direct traffic off of 301 through these streets. So just this year, we've had 83 actually, I'm sorry, hold on. In 2023, we had 156 complaints about speeding or near misses. That was on Oak Ridge. Pine Ridge, there was 142 complaints, average speed. Anyway, basically, I'm asking the council, I have a ton of data that supports that when traffic backs up, it's well behind the townhomes there that you see. So, if people have the opportunity, they're going to take Rivercrest and then take Oak Ridge or Pine Ridge to get to Gibsonton. We have 3 speed bumps on each street. I am requesting that the council does not approve the rezoning, as it is going to increase traffic, foot traffic, regular traffic to the credit union, unless they add sidewalks on all the streets or that we double the traffic calming measures. So, any questions for me?
No, sir. I appreciate your testimony and you coming down.
Awesome.
Does that conclude what your comments?
Yes. Would you like me to submit this data anywhere?
You can submit whatever you'd like into the record.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Please sign in. All right. Seeing no one else in opposition, we'll go back to Development Services. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, I was just going to ask if he has the data to submit.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
He asked to email it?
The record's going to be closed at the conclusion of this application. Is this something you already submitted into the record, or you have?
I did email earlier, but this is all.
Sir, you need to go back on the record. If you could go back on the microphone, we're getting past the pale here.
Okay,
who did you email the information to?
No, I did not email. I emailed so that I could speak today or possibly, do the virtual, but.
Because we normally require either you do it prior in advance.
Okay.
You send it to the county for the record, or you submit it here at the hearing. But if it's on your phone, there's no way to do that.
I can't email this to you guys?
Ms. Heinrich, is that possible under the clerk's rules?
Under the clerk's rules, I believe she's saying that would not be permitted.
Okay.
Okay, well, can the council still, this is public data that I got from Hillsborough County site, so I would like you guys to still consider what I'm saying, regardless of
yes, we
what's on
certainly
the
have,
phone.
We have your testimony,
Okay,
what you just
perfect.
gave, and so that gets that information into the record. So I think that's sufficient, given the constraints of
and I have
the rules.
The FDOT sensor data. This is all very easy to find online.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If you signed in,
Okay,
then
sweet.
we're going to move on. All right. So, Ms. Heinrich, did you have any comments before I move on to transportation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Perez, would you like to address the gentleman's comments?
Yes. Sarah Rose from Transportation Review Section is
Perfect.
here to speak to transportation concerns.
Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Sarah Rose from County Transportation Review. County transportation staff has identified Rivercrest Drive as a substandard roadway. In alignment with the county's current policy, the applicant has elected to defer addressing substandard roadway improvements, as well as displaying the type and location of the project's access to the time of site construction, at which time the relevant typical sections, along with any design exceptions or administrative variances that are applied for at that time, will be considered to determine what roadway improvements will be required. The applicant will be required to construct a minimum 5-foot sidewalk along the project's frontage, designed in a way that conforms to the latest ADA requirements and accessibility guidelines. This was stated in staff's report as well as the application, I do believe. As stated in Section 50404 of the Land Development Code, the applicant will be responsible for addressing substandard roadway conditions from the project's access, which again will be determined at the time of site construction, to the nearest roadway that meets county standard. The county cannot require the applicant to make additional off-site improvements that fall outside of that area and do not have any direct relation to the project's access, but they will be required to make that addition of the sidewalk along that frontage.
So just to be clear, a lot of these issues, if the rezoning is approved by the Board of County Commissioners, transportation then reviews it regarding the standards, and improvements might be required at that time that are associated with their project, but not outside of their project impact. Is that right?
That is correct, along the project's frontage, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that clarification. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right. With that, then we'll go back to the applicant, who has 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Well, number one, I would like to point to the fact that we do have a transportation analysis that is part of the record. I also have our engineer, Garrett Poston, who's here, and he would like to speak for a few moments.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Garrett Poston, Rail Engineering and Surveying. Thank you, staff. I think they covered most of the objections well. The one thing I would add to what they had stated is that with the proposed rezoning, the annual average daily trips per the traffic study that's been submitted will actually be reduced by 2,802 trips.
And that's because it's currently approved for office and commercial development.
Correct.
So the result would be the credit union generates, in comparison, lesser trips, a lesser number of trips.
Exactly.
Thank you. Appreciate it. If you could please sign in. All right. So we'll go back. Ma'am, do you have anything else before we close the hearing for rebuttal?
Nothing further unless you have questions.
No further questions. Thank you for your time. All right, then we'll close rezoning PD 25-0261 and go to the next case.
Our next item is item D10, PD 25-0308. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from ASC1 and AS1 to plain development. Tanya Chappella with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right, is the applicant here?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Michael Costa from the Continuum Group, for the record, and address 755 Commerce Drive, Suite 800, Decatur, Georgia 30030. As you can see here, we have actually, this is the other presentation. Sorry. Apologies. Beautiful. Thanks, man. So we are here today to discuss rezoning this property on the southwest corner of East College Ave and 27th Street Southeast in Ruskin, Florida, to a PD. This will be ultimately for a U-Haul self-storage site with a truck rental area, as well as some mini storage as well. So as you'll see here on the aerial, we're looking at approximately a 5.51 acre property, currently undeveloped. This is composed of 4 parcels, so all 4 would be rezoned to PD. I got a brief slide here with the survey to show you that we will ultimately have access to the property off of 27th Street. The property does have water and sewer available, and we are also in the FEMA Zone X, which is better known as the area of minimal flood hazard. To give you a better overview of the development intent, we have a three-story storage building, which is a standalone, fully indoor, climate-controlled mini warehouse, a one-story U-Box building, which I'll get into a little bit later on that U-Box concept. There's also a mini storage unit building, and a breakdown of the footprints here. The 3-story self-storage building has a 31,588 square foot footprint, again for self-storage. The U-Box concept is a 10,559 gross square foot building, as well as 2,850 gross square footage mini storage. One thing I did want to add, there's also a truck and trailer rental vehicle area as a part of the property. And one thing I did want to mention is self-storage facility of this sort and this concept here is a very low impact on the community, whether it be roads, schools, or any kind of public services. And one of those reasons is that, access will be completely internal to the site. And as I mentioned earlier, the U-Box building systems are controlled by employee access only. So when you hear the U-Box, that's not another storage facility, that's for employee access, not public storage. The trash facilities are controlled completely inside the building, so no dumpsters or enclosures hanging around, and of course, no live-in manager on any of these buildings. Next we have here is our site plan, which shows you how we're laying out this site and what we are proposing, and some greenery here we've added to represent the enhanced site visuals we're attempting to incorporate with screening and buffers, obviously paying attention, close sensitivity to the southern property line, which is residential, but you have plenty of buffer there, as well as the detention pond. So then, of course, you have our buildings broken out there with the square footage I discussed earlier, and you can see the driveway access over on 27th links up or matches directly with the property to the east, which I believe is the Moffitt Cancer Center. So that's something we considered in our design. Next slide I have for you here is our landscape plan, which again, we want to make sure we're considering our neighbors and providing or quote unquote beautifying the site with greenery. It's one of our main primary focuses, and you'll see we have plenty of it here. Just to give you a visual, I got a pretty landscape plan to kind of show you what we have intended. The last slide is to show you kind of what the building, these U-Haul facilities do look like. They do consider architectural elements very highly, and they are not just some run down the road metal building. It's very beautiful buildings, and the architectural team does a terrific design on these buildings. So it'll be pretty exciting. I'm really excited for it. And with that, that's all I have, but happy to address any questions.
No questions at this time, but thank you for your testimony. If you could please sign in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Development Services.
Tanya Chapela, Development Services. The existing zoning is ASC1 and AS1. The proposed zoning is for a planned development to allow warehouse, mini warehouse, and rental of trucks and commercial vehicle uses. The proposed uses are comparable to the surrounding commercial and light industrial uses, and the proposed layout is compatible with the surrounding development pattern. The existing residential homes to the south that will most potentially be impacted by the subject development are located between approximately 130 feet from the subject property line. Given the above, staff finds the proposed modification to be compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping the general development pattern of the area. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to proposed conditions of approval.
Thank you so much. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tariq Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area within the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category and is within the limits of the Ruskin and South Shore area-wide systems community plans. The applicant has submitted site designs that effectively integrate the development with the surrounding single-family homes to the south and southwest. Key design strategies include stepping down the building heights from tallest to shortest, starting with the tallest structure near College Avenue. Additionally, a 20-foot buffer is provided along the southern edge of the site, complemented by the inclusion of a detention pond to further enhance the separation between the business and the residential areas, ensuring a smooth transition of intensity. The proposal for a rezoning from ASC1 and AS1 to PD meets the intent of Objective 1.1 and Policy 3.1.3. The proposal meets the intent of FLU Objective 4.4 and FLU Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of single-family residential, light commercial, and light industrial, and single-family mobile home park uses are in the immediate area. As stated previously, the applicant has provided enhanced site design techniques to ensure that the proposed use does not encroach with the nearby single-family uses. The proposed request is compatible with the area. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria. The applicant has provided a COC waiver for the proposed rezoning. The site is located approximately 1,200 feet away from the nearest qualifying intersection, less than 300 feet of the requirement, with manufactural uses located to the west. Goal 7 of the Ruskin Community Plan also states that new commercial uses are to be located at the eastern boundary of 21st Street and College Avenue, which is where the proposal lies. Therefore, Planning Commission staff recommend approval of the waiver request, and the proposed request meets the intent of Policy 4.7.2. Overall, staff find that the proposed use is an allowable use in the SMU 6 future land use category. It is compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area and does support the vision of the Ruskin and South Shore area-wide systems community plans. The proposed plan development would allow for development that's consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the future land use element of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room that would like to, or online, that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Heinrich, anything?
No, ma'am.
Sir, you have the last word, but you don't have to take it.
Nothing to add, but happy to address any questions.
No further questions, but thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, then we'll close rezoning PD 250308 and go to the last case.
Our last item is item D11, PD 25-0321. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from CN and CI to planned development. Jared Folan with Development Services will provide staff findings, and this is associated with a comprehensive plan amendment, and both items will be scheduled to be heard on the June 12th, 2025 CPA board public hearing.
Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Elise Batzel. I do have a copy of my presentation for the record if I can submit it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. My address is 401 East Jackson Street. Come on. What's going on with my clicker? Thank you. This site is really interesting. It's uniquely located south of the Selman Expressway, west of 78th Street, east of the Tampa Bay Bypass Canal, and south of Adamo Drive. So it's kind of sandwiched in with these physical barriers on all sides. It is in the Palm River area, and it's within the urban service area. This is the existing future land use map. It's a little misleading because the property directly to the south, which is R12, was developed using a flex. So the actual development that is on that site is actually more intense than R12 would permit, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. This is the proposed future land use map that is processing with the companion application. LIP is to the east, to the north. Across the water is actually heavy industrial in the city of Tampa, and across the Selman Expressway is the residential 12. The current zoning is both a combination of commercial neighborhood and CI, commercial intensive. The zoning to the north, the west, and the east is industrial, and to the south is the PD that I was discussing. That is actually developed with fairly intense warehousing and office uses. This aerial just shows you the intensification of development that already exists all around the property, just to give you a good practical view. The existing property is actually developed today. Our clients purchased the property, and we are rezoning and doing a comprehensive plan amendment to capture the existing uses that exist on the property today. It includes equipment sales, equipment service, and open storage. Our actual request is manufacturing uses. We did work with transportation to adopt a condition that basically caps the number of trips. So that is sort of the limit to the uses. We can have any manufacturing uses, but we can't exceed a certain number of trips. Staff and your planning commission has found this consistent with a number of objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan, as well as the Palm River Community Plan. The only additional thing to add is that access, we did eliminate the 2 access points that you see in red to the north and along 78th, and we're retaining the 2 access points along 78th Street. We are requesting a waiver for a portion of the buffering and screening along the western boundary of the property. You can see that this area here already has an existing physical boundary, so we are seeking a waiver. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So this is just a zoomed in version for you. If you look at the map on the top, you'll see that there is more than 80 feet from the property line across Swiftmud's property all the way to the canal. So that existing natural screening you can see here to the south, and we believe that's a sufficient buffer, and staff also supported the waiver request. We have all staff's recommendation of approval, and we would request your recommendation of approval. We're also here to answer any questions. Our team is here as well.
My only question I had in my notes was, what is the current use? But you went over that, so I appreciate it, and I understand the justification for the variation.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, you too. Development Services, please. Good evening.
Good evening, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request to rezone approximately 4.18 acres to a PD to allow open storage and 52,000 square feet of various industrial uses. The subject site is located at the southwest corner of Adamo Road and 78th Street along Palm River, and it is within the greater Palm River planned area. The surrounding properties primarily comprise of industrial and light industrial uses, zone manufacturing PD. The nearest residential is approximately 1,000 feet to the south, which is multifamily, and then single family. The PD will be limited to the uses listed in Condition 1, which includes open storage. Standalone open storage is to be located on the north side of the property and will be screened from adjacent roadways according to LDC standards, which is a 30-foot buffer with Type C screening. Open storage is shown on the site plan to the south as well, but will be accessory to the current or future use. Other proposed uses will be limited to the depicted building envelope and will be allowed a maximum height of 50 feet. The applicant has submitted a variation of the PD request to waive the requirement to buffer and screen towards along Palm River. The waterway is publicly owned and is considered a government use, which would typically require a 15-foot Type B screening, and we have no issues with this request. Development Services has deemed this proposal to be compatible with the surrounding area and find the proposal subject to conditions approval.
Thank you so much. Planning Commission.
Good evening, Tarek Royal, Planning Commission staff. The site is in the urban service area and within the limits of the greater Palm River Community Plan. The subject site is in the residential 12 future land use category. There is a pending comprehensive plan map amendment to change the future land use to light industrial planned. The request for a plan development is considered concurrent and dependent on the approval of HCCPA 2502. I would like to know that that plan amendment did go to the Planning Commission yesterday, April 14th, and was found to be consistent. The proposal meets the intent of FLU Objective 4.4 and FLU Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible to the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of light industrial and heavy commercial uses and is bordered by the Selman Expressway, the Selman Expressway ramp, and the Tampa Bypass Canal. Flu Policy 4.4.1 states that any density or intensity increases shall be compatible with existing, proposed, or planned surrounding development. According to Flu Policy 4.7.4, when planning the location of new non-residential developments at intersections meeting location criteria, a transition of intensity of non-residential uses shall be established which is compatible with their surrounding character. There are single-family uses as well as mobile home park uses that are further south. However, those uses would not cause any conflict as industrial and commercial uses are in the immediate area. Overall, staff finds the proposal is compatible with the existing development pattern found within the surrounding area, and the proposed plan development will allow for development that's consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? Nobody. Ms. Heinrich, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Batzel, you have the last word? Okay. Then with that, we will close rezoning 25-0321 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.